Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Vegans Across the World. Today we are in Lima, Peru, with Andres. Hello,
Hey,
Andres. Welcome.
hey,
Thank,
pleasure to be here.
thank you for being here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to show where Andres is. I'm going to share my screen and tell me if you see when I do, because sometimes I cannot see it when I share it. So, here we go. And we do have a little bit of an echo on his end, but he doesn't have headphones. So that's okay. We'll work through it. So do you see that, Andres?
Yeah, I see the map,
Okay.
the globe.
Okay. There you are in Lima, Peru. The red dot. We're going to keep zooming in. And you have the museum there. Let me scoot that over so you can see a little bit more. All right. I'm going to give a little bit of information about the area. So Peru is a country on this in South America that's home to a section of the Amazon rainforest and Machu Picchu, and it's rich with archaeological sites. It is on the west coast along the Pacific Ocean, and Caral Supe am I saying that right?
Caral,
Caral Supe is believed
caral.
to be the oldest site occupied by humans in the Americas. Its history dates back to 5,000 years. Three-quarters of the world's alpaca population is in Peru, but the national animal is the vicuña.
Yeah.
Okay, a small camelid similar to the alpaca. Peruvian, sorry, Peruvians celebrate New Year's by giving each other yellow underwear.
Well,
So,
yeah, it depends. Some people give red underwear. Depends. They all have different messages.
okay, maybe
But
we could talk about that.
yeah,
Okay. So nearly every weaving technique we have today was invented by Peruvians, and they were invented by 3000 BC. The highest sand dune and the deepest canyon can be found in Peru, with the Cotahuasi. Again, I'm looking at you to tell me if I'm saying these things right. Cotahuasi Canyon being almost 2 times as deep as the Grand Canyon. The potato originated in Peru with 3,000 varieties grown in the country. Peruvians like to say, soy más peruano que la papa, which means I'm more Peruvian than the potato.
yeah, because potatoes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have over 4,000 varieties. So
Okay, so this number was wrong. Okay. The first census was created by the ancient Incas. And Lima is the capital, which is where you're at. It's situated on the coast, as we can see, and is the second largest desert capital city after Cairo, Egypt. One third of Peru's population, or about one third of the population, live in the capital of Lima, with a population of around over 9.5 million people. So I'm going to get back to us and stop sharing my screen. And let's change the screen there. And now, what I want to do, Andres, is I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of activism you might be involved in.
well, I'm Andres. I'm 26 right now. My birthday is on December 26th. My kind of activism is more like street activism, holding people accountable on the streets. And I've done types of activism. I usually go to the streets and with my folding table and just put a banner and under the table that says, some controversial statement or something that provokes an inflammatory response in people, so that they come up to me and we start talking about what says in the banner. So sometimes I would put milk is murder, or if you can't eat animals and love them, and so we start talking about that topic, and it's sort of a way for me to hold them accountable and tell them the truth about what's happening to the animals. So it's mostly street activism. Sometimes it's also online activism, but I mean, I do it like 20% of the time because I'm on Facebook and Instagram all the time, and the algorithm just shows me sometimes something that has animal products.
So, do
So
you put those videos out? Do you record those conversations that you have? Do you put those out?
I used to, but they mostly they stay as stories on Instagram, and I sometimes reshare them, but I
Okay.
haven't done like a proper Joy Carpstrong style video about it. You know?
But that's the kind of activism you're doing, is what we might see in one of his videos. And what kind of
Yeah,
reaction do you get to that? Do you get a lot of people that want to interact with you?
it's interesting. Yeah, I do. And there's people who actually the last activism I did was I sort of took a seitan steak and I labeled it and I put a label on it that said, "This is dog meat. This is like dog thigh meat or something." And I had my folding table and I showcased it to people so that people would see. And I had a big banner with dogs, and and the banner said, "This is dog meat. This is the brand. Try it out." So people would come in and we would start talking about it, and people would say, it was a mix. It was like 70-30 responses. 70% of the responses were like, "That's disgusting. I don't want to try it."
Did anybody
And
get like mad, like almost violent with you about it? Some people
no,
are really get really upset about when it comes to dogs.
yeah, well, they were just mostly confused,
Okay.
and you know, but in Peru there are certain areas where people eat cats and dogs,
Really?
especially in, yeah. But yeah, most of the people were confused actually, and and also people here are like, "Oh yeah, I know it's bad. They suffer a lot," but I don't understand really what's in their psyche that just tells them like it's normal. They have this conversation with me, but then they go to their dinner tables and just start eating animals,
Yeah.
and I just don't. I still haven't figured out what's happening there. What's the psychology? But I'm hoping to find more studies that help me.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, like, when we were ignorant of what was happening to farm animals, that we didn't make that connection to loving our dogs or cats, but we were eating cows and pigs and chickens. But then we learned the truth, and we made the connection, that it was no different. We just it was just like it was never told to us, and then when it was told to us and shown to us, it became so obvious that we don't understand why it's not obvious to anybody else. And it
Andres,
is hard.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say that I read some studies that show three main factors when it comes to this distancing between the steak and the cow. So there's ritualization, there's institutionalization, and socialization. So it's pretty much like the government permits it, people do it all the time, and it's tradition. So I
Yeah.
think those are three factors that tell people like, hey, this is just a steak, this is not a cow. So that distancing is there's a big gap that people need to acknowledge.
Well, they do that, I think, in order when they're given the information and they realize, yes, it is a cow. Um, I think they use that because they don't want to change. They're more afraid of change in their lives. Because that would also mean a social change. I mean, we know that when we became vegan, it made a big change in our social lives. You
Yeah.
know, and some people are afraid of that. Of changing everything that they do and who they talk to and their family, relationships and all that stuff.
Mm.
And they have a fear of that. So,
Yeah,
but
quite
yeah,
irrational.
this. So, do you have anybody that ever actually comes up and tries it, like thinking it's dog?
Oh yeah, I had one person. I was just walking in the street because the police took us out of the park that we were in,
Oh,
and I
really?
was yeah, and I was just walking down the it's called the Malacum, but it's that walkway next to the beach where you can see the beach.
Yeah.
So we went to this park. We arrived at this park, and we were just like, let's just start doing street interviews. Tell people, hey, this is Dogman. Would you try it? And the first person we interviewed was like, "Hey, let me have a piece." And we were like, that was like weird. Like he was just not thinking about it. He was just like straight up, and he tried it, and then he was like, "Oh, this is really tasty. Like, where can I find more of this?" And I was like, "Well, let me tell you something. This is not dog meat. This is actually um, wheat, meat. It's made out of the wheat grain, and and we started asking him questions because he was the only one that was like upfront, and he was like, "Okay, I just want to try it." And we started asking him, "Hey, what made you just do it?" He was like, "Oh, I'm really I just like to do things if I feel like, and it was kind of an impulse." I was like, "Okay, would you say the same thing if this was cat meat?" And he was like, "Sure." He was a very interesting individual, particular more like, and that's when we started telling him like, "Have you ever thought about, what you're who you're eating or what you're eating? Because there was an animal involved here and who felt pain. And if every time you eat a, every time you buy steak, every time you buy animal products, you are financing something like this." And he sort of got the message, but he was still confused, like most of the
Mhm.
people. And
Yeah, well, it's a
sometimes
shame
you see that
because if he liked the vegan meat, then he would have been a great candidate to go vegan. But it sounds like he doesn't really have the conscience to do so.
yeah, it
Is
was sort of a weird conversation with him. He just seemed very I planted that seed because I started making him question that. He was like, "Right, why do people not eat dogs?" And it's because it's speciesism, because people prefer to like dogs and not like cows, and it's very rational in my opinion. It
yeah,
is irrational
yeah,
objectively.
yeah. So, tell us, where are you from originally? Are you originally from Lima?
I am originally from Lima, yeah,
Born and raised there?
born and raised. I only traveled outside of the country one time, and I went to Colombia
Okay.
for a sort of fashion seminar, and then I came back. It was just like
So,
a 1 week
Peru,
trip.
so Peru, it's bordered by Colombia, correct? And then, are tell me the other countries it's bordered by, please.
Well, we have Chile in the
Chile,
below. Next to us is Colombia.
Colombia
Then
above you.
we got Brazil, I think, and Argentina, and above us we have Ecuador.
Yeah, I was going to say Argentina. I wasn't sure about that one. So tell us, what is the culture and the food like there where you are? I understand that guinea pig is served fried and whole as a national dish. So, I know that meat is incorporated in everybody's culture, and food is a big part of culture. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about the food and culture where you're at?
Well, the gastronomically, Peru is very well known in the world. Okay, and it's mostly animal products. Ceviche is chopped up fish. Lomo saltado is steak. So yeah, the culture in terms of food is they have very diverse dishes, but that also means that there's a lot of options in vegan options, and there are also many vegan restaurants.
Is there?
Surprisingly. Yeah, many vegan restaurants, and also restaurants that have vegan options. So you know, ceviche can be made with tofu, with mushrooms, with tarwi or lupin.
Yeah, ceviche is basically just something raw that's cooked by marinating it in an acid,
Yeah,
right?
that's what ceviche means. It
Yeah.
means marinated.
Okay. Okay.
So, actually, it's funny that you asked me this because I think it was last year or no, 2 years ago. I was having lunch with a non-vegan friend at a vegan restaurant, and then he was eating this vegan lomo saltado made with tofu, and we were all eating vegan meals, and he went, "You guys are destroying the Peruvian food industry, the Peruvian food diversity." Um, if we're starting to do lomo saltado with tofu or seitan, it's not gonna taste the same. It's just not gonna be the same, and I think we're just not gonna we're just not gonna enjoy things the same way. And one of my friends went, you know what? We're not doing that because we're actually revolutionizing it. Because we're aligning it with ethics and we're aligning it with. If you guys keep eating animal products, you guys are gonna extinguish all the animals. Then you're not gonna have anything. We're just revolutionizing, giving it more options. Lomo saltado doesn't have to be made with red meat. It could be made with tofu. It could be made with mushrooms. It could be made with seitan. It could be made with
You're
tempeh.
it's evolving. It's evolving
Yeah,
instead of staying stagnant. Everybody eats meat, so there's nothing new with by doing it with meat. So
exactly. As long as it's seasoned properly,
yeah.
that's pretty much where all the flavor comes from. The seasoning from
Well, see, that
plants.
was a great thing when I became vegan. Is like I realized this whole other world of flavors and all this creativity in cooking that wasn't there before. You grow up with the basics and you cook meat, potatoes, bread, same way all the time. Variations here and there, pasta maybe, um, but across the board, it's basically the same. It's not creative, and I tell people I was like, if you can't make somebody love their vegetables, you're not a chef. You're a cook.
That's that's true. Yeah, you gotta make sure everything is has the right seasoning, and it's just something that makes you deepen your knowledge. In my opinion, because I love cooking. I cook
Yeah.
all the time. I can't remember when was the last time I ordered uh, a meal delivered to my home.
You actually do a cooking show for Jane Unchained, don't you?
I do sometimes
Why
actually.
don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I met Jane through a phone conversation. Through a friend referred me, and I asked to be on Jane Unchained as a contributor, and I told her what I could contribute to the show, and you know we agreed that cooking would be one thing, and I was like, okay, I love doing that. I could show Peruvian recipes, veganized, of course. So the first video I made, it was such a, I don't want to say disaster, but it took me like 3 hours to prepare because I was camera shy a little bit at the start,
Yeah.
and it took me like 7 tries to perfect the dish, and I spent all day in the kitchen. And Jane doesn't know that, so if she ever watched this interview, she's gonna be like, "Oh wow, he really put a lot of effort." And so
It's not as easy as people think to just
um,
cook in front of a camera. It's not.
it's
No.
not. And you gotta find the right shots. You gotta find right ingredients, get the right color because it doesn't show the same in the camera. And the first dish I made was causa. So causa in Peruvian etymology means potato. So it was a potato tower. Okay, so I mashed some potatoes and I make a little disc this size, and then I put some vegan chicken or tofu with vegan mayo and vegetables and avocados, and then I put another potato disc on top, and that's a causa. It's very simple.
Hmm, it
And I
sounds
decided
good.
to make, yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a tricolor, triple color causa. So I made one with regular potatoes. I made another one with beets, and I made another one with sweet potatoes. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be an amazing video. And then all of a sudden, Jane Jane's creative director tells me, "Oh, you gotta make it like 20 minutes at least tops." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna be able to make this stuff in 20 minutes." So I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do um, this show, and then I'm gonna do two more shows showing the other two causa potato towers." And God, it took me so long. It took me like I would say I spent 8 to 9 hours in the kitchen just preparing that video because um the video was supposed to be at like 3 p.m. Pacific time, and I got up at 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh
Start
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Well, more power to you. So, yeah, well, any links you leave us to your shows and stuff like that on her show, I'll leave below the videos, guys. Always the links are always below the videos, so you can check out Andre's information and his cooking shows, and maybe you can find that one. So, how long have you been vegan?
Good question. And I actually have it, documented. Not documented as in like a movie or something, but it's a Facebook post. And I
Okay,
remember I watched What the Health, and that was the first time I heard the word vegan. That was in November 3rd, 2017. And at the time, I used to put everything I do on Facebook, and I would put like what I would do in the mornings, in the afternoon, the evenings. And I watched this documentary, and I was like, wow, this is really eye-opening to me. I can't believe I've been doing this all my life. People are wrong because I after watching this, I got a lot of studies. I gathered a lot of studies, and I just came up with my own conclusion. Like eating animal products is literally poison, and there's a lot of suffering involved. So I don't want to be part of that. That's not what what humans are meant to do. We are meant to evolve. Our intellects are meant to evolve, and we gotta understand intelligence goes hand in hand with ethics. So after watching What the Health, I was like, okay, I'm vegan now, and I put up this this Facebook status update, and I said, what kind of fucking wizardry is this? Because I'm watching What the Health, and it's showing me all this stuff, and then below I attached the picture. Do you remember the Clockwork Orange when they put tape in Alex's
they put the things
and
in his eyes to open him up, make
he
him
would
watch the
start looking at the movie that was playing in front of
yeah.
him, showing him all the
Ultra
things that
violence.
exactly. So I put up that picture, and a friend told me, please fact, and a friend commented, please fact check everything before you have a stroke. And I told her like straight up at 5:46 p.m. that day, I'm vegan now. So I have it like it's. I'm actually gonna take a screenshot of that Facebook status, just frame it, and then put it in my fridge or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
frame
a
it
good
up and
thing.
just
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
that
I
would be
wish I knew that time. It took me a while because I just learned things here and there. I didn't have the internet at the time. I was 15 years ago. So how many years ago was this?
This was in 2017, so I've been vegan now for 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I did it in around 2006, I think. And it was an email that I got about the seal hunt. It didn't turn me vegan. It just like made me realize the horrors of the seal hunt. I didn't make the connection yet with seafood, but I was banning seafood from Canada. Um, and then just after that, it just took more and more stumbling on the internet because it wasn't the same back then. It wasn't in your face and available like it is now. I didn't even see Earthlings until after I was vegan. And I guess that came out in 2005, but I didn't even know about it until after I'd become vegan. Um, but yeah, so it's like I wish I had. I don't have a vegan anniversary because I don't know. I kind of the more I learned, the more I cut out of my life until I just knew I was vegan one day. And I got it. I got it. It was about the animals and not about my health and or anything else.
Yeah, and I
So
think people need to really understand that it's just about the animals. Because
yeah,
I'm
that's
well,
why I say I wasn't vegan until I learned that part, because I think I was eating vegan for a while, but it was
mhm,
about my health. And I was into like raw foods and I was really curious about all this creative stuff. But as I learned about raw foods, I stumbled upon more animal rights stuff and until I finally got it. And that's when I became vegan because it's not until you learn it's about animal rights that you're vegan. So that's the way I look at it. But I just don't have a date for when that happened. I don't remember when that final straw. you know?
Well, I'm very hypochondriac when it comes to dates. Like I prefer to remember everything and just I keep an agenda of like also everything I do. So
Well,
I'm
that's
very.
good. I mean, it's good to have diary. I used to keep a diary. But,
Mhm.
so I was gonna ask you what made you want to, but you just told us, but are any of your family or friends vegan?
Oh, actually, something happened that made me completely flip the switch because when I started, I was just doing it for the supposed triple the supposed three reasons that everybody goes vegan: health, environment, and animals. And I would just, yeah, and I used to advocate, it's all three. But something that just made me click was I had a dog in my parents' house. His name was Gunther, and I was just Gunther was very attached to me and my mom. One day, my mom, she went off to work. We had a garage, and she just took her car out of the garage, and then she forgot something. She went back upstairs, but then Gunther was all like he was going crazy, like he was just barking because he
Mhm.
knew she was going um, to work, and I think he followed my mom all the way to the first floor where she had the garage. She took her car out, and then Gunther started being really sad, and I was like thinking, huh, like I can't. It was the first time I really experienced another animal's sadness, and I was like, wow, I
The
can't believe.
animals actually
It was
have
like, wow, they
emotions.
can experience sadness. They can experience all these things. It's not like they only feel pain when you stab them. Like they can also develop more complex emotions.
Yeah, they have an emotional life. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Wow.
not only instinct. And so I just saw that, and I was like, wow, like I forgot how important this part is. And then I realized, what? Wait a minute, this is everything that it's about. It's a
Yeah.
moral principle. That's what holds everything together. And the
Yeah.
consequences of this, you know, are better health, better environment. But health and environment are personal choices.
Yeah.
Morality does not
There are
involve.
benefits to being vegan.
Exactly, exactly. It's a consequence or a benefit. And that was a moment when I was, oh wow, this is like, now I want to be an activist on this. Now I want to advocate. Now I want to go to, you know, I started trying to find. I started googling vegan protest, vegan march in Lima. So that's when I started like being really interested in being an activist too. And did you ask me who in my family was vegan?
Yeah, I was just asking, are any of your family or friends vegan?
Well, my fiance is vegan.
That's
Her
great.
name's Natalie. Yeah, her name's Natalie, and
Did you meet while you were vegan?
yeah, we met and we started dating when were already vegan.
Okay.
So yeah, she's been vegan for 9 years now. But aside from her, nobody else in the family is vegan. Like I've shown my parents Dominion. I've shown my parents What the Health, Game Changers, um, some Joey Carbstrong's documentaries. But most of the time they fall asleep, and I don't know what to do sometimes. But I lived with them for almost 23 years, and I moved out of my house when I was 24. And I was like, okay, I've tried everything. I can't do anymore because I that's when where I started burning out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because every day I would spend 3 to 4 hours telling them, this is the reason why you don't have to eat animals. This is what happens to them. They have a sentience. And they just seem to it's again this irrational fear, this irrational inconvenience. And and I, and I was like, wow, my parents are really smart. There's really smart people who are just very ignorant when it comes to this, and that seemed to be interesting to me.
Yeah,
So
everybody that I've talked to, including even myself, we've all the hardest part is getting our families to understand. We can go
yeah,
out on the streets and talk to strangers all day long and get through to them, and but our families just, and
yeah,
you get so frustrated to the point where, yeah, you have to just finally kind of give up on them in a way, or give some space because otherwise it's going to drive you crazy.
becomes ineffective activism, and that just depresses me a lot. I prefer to talk to people who are willing to understand a bit,
Yeah.
and to people who are to the close people to people who are close to people that are close to me and don't want to change. I prefer to have a third person talk to them rather than me,
Yeah.
because I don't know why. I don't know why. In Peru, there's this sort of relationship between parents and kids and sons and daughters, in where there's a sense of superiority from the parents, and they're like, oh, it's my kid, it's just a phase, or he's just going through something. It's not it's not something serious. That's why I shouldn't be listening to
Yeah,
him.
I don't think that's totally. I don't think that's just a singular culture thing, though, because I've talked to people like I talked to Poli in Mexico. She said the same. She brought up the same thing. She said, parents don't want to be told they're wrong by their children, and
Yeah,
I think that's probably across the world. I think they have a hard time with that. They might listen to you and say, "Oh yeah, I respect that," and and nod. But I think there's a thing with some parents that like giving in or going vegan is a way of saying that they were wrong and their child is right. And so yeah, sometimes maybe it is better if a third party talks to them. You
I
know?
mean, they're just not willing to change something they have done all their life.
Yeah, that's
It's
that
irrational.
too.
It's
Yeah,
irrational because, by that logic, a lot of weird things would be justified.
yeah.
Like, I would still be wearing my 5-year-old clothes. So
Still be carrying Binky around my blankie.
exactly, yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I would rather have a third person talk to them, personally, and
But what did they think of your veganism? And now
it's
that you're an
just
activist and all this, what do they think?
well, it's the same as what you mentioned. They try to reduce it to an opinion. I respect your opinion. I will go to vegan places if you want. I will only have lunch with you at vegan places. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's okay for now. If you if I advocate to you, you're just gonna be like, okay, no, I still respect it. It's gonna be the same argument.
Yeah,
So I prefer to do effective activism and go to the people that really want to change,
sure.
not not my parents right now. They're just overloaded with information maybe right now, and they don't want to.
And what about
Have,
your friends, though? Do you still have non-vegan friends that you
oh
had
no, I don't.
before? No.
No, all my friends are vegan. I try
You,
not to.
so
I
you've
think I think
switched over to your activism life and made new friends and family.
yeah, I think that just happens naturally. It's
Yeah,
very organic, when you start finding people who have the same interests as you,
sure.
and and you start, leaving behind old people. I think you start growing up as a person, and you start enjoying life a little bit more because you're doing things you like with people that like to do those things as well.
Sure, we all make that. I think we all make that change. I've talked about this several times. Is when you get older, you see. There's my echo. When you get older, you kind of make your new friends and family. People grow up. They start families of their own. They start having children. They move away or out of the area, and you make new friends because you never see them anymore. If you're not married and have kids yourself, you don't see them anymore. So you kind of recreate it all. You know what I mean? It's a part of growing up anyway. Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
would you say it's easy or hard to be vegan where you live?
Well, I always say it's easy to be vegan anywhere.
Yeah,
But in the practical sense of eating plant-based, well, fully plant-based, um, yeah, I would say it's quite easy. Tofu it's cheaper than chicken, and it's very accessible. You have we are an agricultural country, so we produce a lot of plant foods very
great.
cheap at a high scale. So that means
You have a lot of farmers markets and stuff.
yeah, it's very affordable as well.
Yeah,
So and in terms of vegan restaurants and fancier foods, um, yeah, I would say there's at least one vegan or two vegan restaurants in every district.
Wow.
And
That's great.
so
What about like leather alternatives and cruelty free and vegan like toiletries and makeup and stuff like that? Do you have all that available to you?
um, not it's not as developed as in other countries, but there is one brand, one startup that is doing that, vegan leather.
Okay.
I think it's out of pineapples,
Awesome. Oh,
and
I've heard of it. Yeah. Awesome.
yeah, and they make backpacks and I don't know how to call this, but it's called like a handbags,
A what?
purses,
Purses? Yes.
purses,
Yeah.
backpacks, uh, luggage bags as well. So
Do they
that's
make,
yeah.
make any shoes or anything like that yet?
No,
No?
the only vegan alternatives to leather right now are synthetics,
Yeah.
synthetic leather made out of oil derivatives.
Yeah. But you still have it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it's more affordable than regular leather.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So,
Mhm.
you're saying it's easy to be vegan where you live, but as a vegan, as a vegan, what are the struggles?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we make up probably like 0.001% of the population, and um, socially, yeah, it's kind of weird. People see it as weird, and that it's not like, why wouldn't you eat this, or why wouldn't you just come with us? And but I don't have a lot of contact with non-vegans.
Yeah.
I mostly, my regular job is just I'm a homework dealer, and people from universities just tell me, "Hey, I need to do these essays, so can you do it for me?" It's like, okay, sure, it will be $100, and that's mostly my
You're
client.
a homework dealer? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that. What is that exactly?
That means that I do homework for people who are lazy at college and that don't want to do it.
Is that legal? I guess it
Yeah,
is. You can't
it is.
stop them, but I mean, what if they get caught with something like that?
Well, there's no really moral repercussion in that. It's just someone asking for help in their homework.
So
So
it's a little more than a tutor. They're not doing any of the
yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of people who just hate what they're doing right now at college. I
Yeah.
think over 60% of people here in Peru just go to college because their parents want them to go to college, not
Wow.
because not because
Because
of
it's
an intrinsic
expected of
motive.
them. So is business good for you?
I'd say yeah, yeah. It's like you do $100 in like 2 hours, so
More
I can't
power to
complain.
you, man. Maybe they should look at you and see that's why they needed to get their education so they could be like you are because you're the one with the education.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's just my regular. It's not even. I don't even work 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day. It's just like 2 or 3 hours a day, and it's. I don't interact a lot with my clients. They just ask me to do something, I do it, and
Yeah.
then they come back, and they keep giving me money. So, but back
And
to
then
your
you have
question.
your activism friends that you probably socialize with, right?
Exactly. I mostly socialize with vegans, and my whole social circle is vegan. But before that, it was kind of there's a little bit of struggle because at university or college, people, like in the classrooms, people would make sometimes. This is called a compartir, which is like a classroom lunch. So they have
Okay.
lunch in the classroom, and they bring animal products, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Do you want?" And you're like, "No, I'm sorry, but I'm vegan. I'm against this." And they look at you funny. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I have experienced. And also when you go to like supermarkets, you have to start looking at labels.
Yeah.
Regular vegan struggle.
Yeah. And it's hard in the beginning, but then you become a pro at it, really. You learn all
Yeah,
the shortcuts and what to look for and what to scan the labels for. I even had to try to do that when I went to Mexico. Like, I had to do it in Spanish. But, I knew what to look for. So,
cool.
but how do people view animal rights where you live? You said you like talking to that guy was willing to try what he thought was dog meat. Um, What do people think about animal rights when you talk to them about it?
What do people think?
How do they
Well,
view animal rights? How do they even view like I'm sure they love their pets. They probably love their dogs and their cats. Is it pretty much the same way as anywhere else? Is that they don't understand like
it
rights of
is.
other animals?
I think it is because remember what I told you about socialization, ritualization, and institutionalization.
Yeah,
So one part of institutionalization in Peru um, could be found in there are like two laws. No, it's just one law regarding animal abuse. But what the government considers animal abuse is kicking a dog in the street or kicking a cat on the street,
yeah.
and that's it. And that's just irritating because, but it's also good because the government knows that animals can feel pain, but they are just very speciesist and can't look past dogs and cats. So they only consider dogs and cats to that law. If someone was butchering a cow on the street, people would be like, oh, he's making a mistake. But if he did that to a dog, it would be outrage. There would be an online firestorm in the internet.
Now, do you ever show like footage of slaughterhouses to people?
Yeah, and
What kind of
that has
reaction do you get? Because I mean, do you think people really wouldn't be upset if you saw a cow being slaughtered in the street? Or are
well,
they like anybody else that like, as long as it's behind closed doors, they'll eat it, but if you do it in front of them, they're horrified.
oh, they haven't told me that, but they have been like, yeah, I understand. Because that's actually showing footage of animals of CAFOs actually have been proven to help with the you know conversion power. You know what I mean? Like
No.
showing footage of animal exploitation
Okay. I
has
understand
been
what you
shown in studies to help people go vegan.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, they do have a reaction to it. They're like, I don't want to. I don't want to see what happens.
like yeah, like at Cubes of Truth, when they used to happen here in Lima, people would show that, and the activists would show that to people, and we would start asking them, "Hey, what do you think about this? Have you seen this before?" And the main reactions that I would get is, "Yeah, it's really sad, but it's." And they start coming up with their arguments. It's the circle of life. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
What's the alternative? And I think that is one part. You got to show alternatives, but you also have,
Well, the alternative is just to not eat them, not
yeah,
kill them.
yeah.
They
and then
don't.
there
They
and
don't
then,
think about that. They don't think that they're like, we can't live without it. Yeah, you should. Yeah,
yeah,
you can.
that's how the meat industry has conditioned them to
Yeah,
think, oh, food is only meat and animal products.
it's the only place you
That's
can get protein is through a cow.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's interesting how the ads also do that. People tell me sometimes, non-vegans that I interact with tell me, but don't you think you're a little brainwashed? And I was like, no, you are brainwashed.
yeah.
How many
Do
how
you
many
not
vegan
realize how brainwashed
how
you
many
are?
how many vegan how many vegan ads do you see on the street? How many vegan meat sandwiches ads do you see on the street? No, it's
Yeah.
mostly the McRib or the freaking hamburgers from those big franchises.
Yeah, I don't see billboards for lettuce and carrots everywhere I go. So
Exactly. Except that one that said tofu didn't cause a pandemic. That one from PETA. That was a good one. I
yeah,
like
that's a
that.
good one. So I think you told us at the beginning. What's your favorite form of activism? You like to just talking to people one on one.
Yeah, personal one-on-one interactions on the street is
Yeah,
better.
I like that
But right
too.
now we can't do that. So right now we can't do that because of COVID.
Yeah.
I usually do it, in virtual Zoom meetings.
What's a Oh, so you're doing the Zoom thing? Are you doing kind
Sometimes,
of the quarantine of truth? AV was doing a quarantine of truth for a while, where we
yeah,
do the on Zoom. We do outreach. It's hard to find somebody that'll agree to do that, though. It's the only problem.
yeah. It's not the same. Um, it's not like you bump into each other. It's like the person has to go into a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, they have to like be like know what's going to they're going to talk about, know what they're going to see basically ahead of time. It's harder to get them to say okay to that. So what are your restrictions like at the moment? Are you guys you still quarantined or what lockdown or anything right now?
Yes, there's a lockdown and there are curfews going on from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. And people can only go out to buy drugs at pharmacies, food at supermarkets, and some clothing.
Oh,
Yeah, but there are many stores open right now, so you know
but a lot
there
of
are many.
people still unemployed or working from home.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sad. So did you guys like here we've had them relaxed and now they're talking about not necessarily here, but just I've heard them talk about online because of the new Delta strain or whatever that people might start wearing masks again because we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
but that's just because we've gotten a lot of vaccinations. Still not well, they some, but not a lot. I should say. But it has to do with the area, your local government. But they really relaxed the restrictions here. But I've heard on the news because of the new Delta strain that people are talking about going back to wearing masks, and even we if we don't watch out, lockdown again. And so, what are they? What's it like there? Did they lighten up at all before, or you've continuously been under this?
We have continuously been under it like
Oh wow.
for a year and a couple months since March last year. They they started the lockdowns, they started the curfews, and there's a lot more policemen and police force around the
I thought
neighborhoods.
I heard that Peru was one of the highest in COVID rates for
Oh yeah,
some
there's
reason.
a second wave.
How is that possible when you guys are locked down for the last year?
Because some people do not follow the legislations. Lima is mostly Lima has around like 30 or 40 districts. That's how it's separated. Okay.
Yeah,
There are some districts that follow the rules, and there are some districts that where the rules are just very, wishy-washy, not really followed by people. So people do meetings, physical meetings. People do parties, and
uh-huh.
then those people go to different districts, and that's how it spreads.
Yeah. Okay. So if a vegan visits where you live, where should they go? That doesn't have to be a restaurant, but if you want it to be, it can. But where do you think they should go?
Well, they should come to my place so I could cook them a really nice vegan meal, you know, and
That'd
show
be
them
great.
really good Peruvian dishes, veganized, of course.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I would say a restaurant. There's a restaurant that I really like. It's called Veda. So they have Ayurvedic principles. It's very themed in that way. So when you go, it's like this big restaurant. It's really fancy, and that's why I like it a lot because the food that they make, you feel when and you can taste when something is made with love and just someone took care of this. Someone really um, took my order to heart, and they were like, okay, let's make this the best dish that this person is going to taste in their life. And the ice cream is super good.
They
The
have a lot
pizza,
of raw dishes.
yeah, they have some raw dishes, they have some cooked dishes.
The only thing
um
is, tell me if I'm wrong about this. Ayurvedic, they don't use garlic or onions, do they?
no, they don't.
See, I'm sorry, but I love garlic and onions.
Yeah, but that's the thing, it feels like sometimes you can taste similar flavors, but still it's really good. I think it's really good. And the second restaurant they should visit is a place called Pachamama. It's near the beach. So this person has the owner of this restaurant has over 400 vegan dishes
Wow.
that you can order from. Yeah, over
On the
400.
menu.
Yeah, so you can but you have to schedule a reservation and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
you can yeah, and you can go to the website. It's pachamama.com, and
Well, I'll put that in the link if you give me the link. It'll be underneath this video. But that would be interesting. I'm sure he would have to have reservations just in order for. Do you have to pre-order?
Um, yeah,
Okay, I was going to say because with that many, you can't just have somebody come in and just pick up
exactly.
food dish.
Yeah,
That's
you need
crazy.
to. Yeah, but the owner is really, that restaurant has been open for over 10 years, and
It
the
must be a
owner.
hard. That must be hard to, or I mean, to make a choice of what you want to eat.
Well, they have like 20 of the best dishes. Like their sandwiches are, oh my god, it's so good. It's like, and they started to incorporate Beyond Meat actually on their menu, so it's gonna be way better. The
Yeah,
burgers,
so they're only gonna have 450 dishes.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's very diverse. I love that restaurant because um
What's their
it's a
what's
small.
their what's their your favorite vegan dish that people should try while we're on the subject?
They should try the causa cevichada in Veda.
Say it again.
Cau- Causa acevichada. So
Okay.
it's a mix between causa and ceviche. It's vegan,
Okay.
and that tartar sauce that they put on top is fire. I the first time I tried it, I was like baffled. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just tried this. How would they make this? I need to get the recipe." And I just told the waiter, "Tell the chef, congratulations. Like this is this is peak gastronomy." Yeah, I would say that's my favorite because it's a potato tower as I mentioned before, and inside it has avocado, this microgreens, carrots, but they're all cooked in a way that it's very soft and it melts in your mouth. And the ceviche part is on top. So they put the ceviche, which is made out of mushrooms, but it's certain mushrooms, and they put onion on top, and then leche de tigre, which is tiger milk, supposedly, but it's not actual tiger milk. It's a
Of
mixture.
course.
Yeah.
I've heard of
Um,
tiger milk, but I can't remember what it is.
so it's like a mixture. You put in the blender some ice, some tofu cube, some tofu chopped up, bit of ginger, bit of chili, bit of pepper, bit of cumin, bit of cilantro,
That's what makes it
and
tiger milk is the spices. That's what it is. Yeah.
yeah, it's super spicy. And they put it on top of the causa,
That sounds
and
amazing.
they put chips on top too. And there's something called chicharrón de pota, which is supposed to be um uh, it's like a type of fried tofu, but it's the spices and the seasoning is amazing. Like I think they should try that. And
Now I want to
also,
come there. I was thinking I wanted to come to Peru to see Machu Picchu, but now I just want to come there to eat.
yeah, because there are so many dishes, and they all melt in your mouth. Like at that restaurant, I just love it. I would say that's my number one recommended restaurant.
Awesome.
I'm just hoping to them reaching out to me to make a collaboration, or a video, or something.
Have you reached out to them?
I tried, but they're a
They're,
big restaurant.
yeah, I was gonna say they're
They
probably
have so
really
many
busy,
followers,
aren't they?
so it's not really. Yeah, they're kind of
Yeah.
busy. One day,
Yeah.
I'll hope.
Yeah. So how can people, if a vegan comes down there, how can they get involved with the local vegan community?
Well, first of all, they can go to Facebook and find Lima Vegans, which is a big group, over 20,000 people. Not all of them are vegan, of course. Probably like 200, 250 people are vegan.
Yeah.
But that in that Facebook group, people usually organize sometimes going to certain restaurants or talk about certain topics at picnic, or sometimes just talk about veganism. But also you can message me so that we can get involved in the AV chapter here and do
Yeah.
some cubes of truth. Um, and I also have my own animal rights organization, which is called Animal Disrupción Animal. So that we did with this group, the dog meat activism, and that
Okay.
was interesting. We got a lot of engagement there. Um, but yeah, that's mostly those three things. Facebook groups, and two animal rights organizations here in the area.
Great.
In, yeah.
That's awesome. So finally, I'm going to ask you,
Mhm.
where would you like to visit one day and learn about veganism there? You said you haven't had a chance to travel. So where would you like to go one day and learn about veganism there?
There's a place in Greece that actually has a vegan cooking course.
Is there?
Yeah, that gives you a degree as a vegan chef, and I would love to go there. It costs $10,000.
Yeah.
I'll I hope to gather them someday so that I could go and actually start learning a lot. Because I saw some of the videos in this play of this place, and I forgot the name of the actual institution that gives you the degree, but I've seen what the head chef of that institution can do, and he uses like certain forms of potato that I've never seen before to make vegan omelets or to make vegan sourdough bread. It's mind bending to me. So
Yeah.
that's where I would like to go someday. Greece, and also Greece has I've heard they have a lot of vegan, the vegan area, or the vegan themes are very intense
The
there as well.
Yeah, well they say the Mediterranean diet is heavily, plant-based anyway, but I haven't interviewed anybody from Greece just yet. But you are the second person, I believe, the second to say that. Yeah, Greece is somebody you're interested in. So maybe I'll try to hook up with an interview with somebody there. I do know they have an AV chapter. So,
Yeah, they
but
do.
so are you saying like it sounds like your interest in food is that maybe mean that you want to move on to as a profession doing cooking vegan food?
I would like to learn everything actually. I'm actually doing a vegan nutritionist course.
Okay.
I'm al- yeah, I'm also and I would also like to have this vegan cooking course or this vegan chef degree. Because that's just some cooking is just something that just makes me deepen my knowledge and get to know how complex things really are, and that just sticks in my mind. Because for instance, yesterday I did this vegan chicken cream, and I was like, wow, this is so good. Let me try it with a different spice this time, and I was like, wow, this also came out really good. What if there are so many combinations, there are so many arrangements between the elements that it's almost endless. You know,
Yeah.
it's like music. You can't listen to all the music that has been ever uh, created. You listen to the one you like, but then you're like, oh wow, I like this too. Let's try it.
Yeah. That's a good
And,
analogy. I like that. That's a good
yeah, and
analogy.
it's all about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. You want to be good at something that you enjoy and that you keep upgrading yourself into.
Yeah, there was a raw, like it was a decade ago, raw vegan cooking. I shouldn't can't say cooking. Raw vegan class, chef class that was out in California that I wanted to take, and it was like so expensive that I never did it. I just would, experiment at home. So I've recently been thinking about getting back to raw just to just for the fun of it, really,
Oh yeah,
and a
it
little
is.
bit for the health.
Hmm.
But but yeah, I've gotten away from cooking for a while, and I just know that raw foods really like sparked my imagination. I maybe need to get back on that. So, but
Oh,
I hope
it's
you get there
amazing.
someday. What's that?
Yeah, the desserts, the raw desserts,
Oh yeah.
amazing. Like coconut cream or coconut with dates and some almond milk and you know, almond butter. It's so
Well,
good.
one of the best puddings ever. Like I make, it's called chocolate mousse, but the recipe's called chocolate mousse. But I call it like it's like a pudding. It's like a thick pudding. It's just avocados, chocolate, and dates, and really, and it's so freaking delicious. So freaking delicious and easy to make. But anyway, so now I want to go eat. So,
Uh-huh.
so Andres, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And I thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. Peru sounds like a really wonderful place, and maybe I hope that you make it to Greece one day. I hope that I make it down to Peru one day, and
Yeah,
yeah, one day when all this crap is over, you know.
hopefully soon.
Yeah,
But yeah, I really encourage people to come to Peru um, because of the food, because of you know all the interactions, all the interactions that they could get in terms of the vegan world, and they can also learn a lot from how we live vegan, how we interact with vegans, how we sort of do activism. I think it's great. Um, I think it's a great place to just sort of experiment and be like, let me try something new.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
All right. With that said, I'll go ahead and let you go. I know you got a busy day ahead of you, so again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it,
Thanks for
and
having me.
hopefully, I will keep in touch, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you. All right, everybody. So another wonderful guest, very interesting, and I just want to let you know his Jane Unchained cooking segments are on. Check out the links below and try to check him out doing that. I hope to see one too, and yeah, just so happy to meet him. Such a passionate, intelligent guy, and I'm really lucky to meet these people. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you want to know who I'm having next week, you'll just have to show up. Bye, everybody.